call the February 26th school board meeting to order. We'll start first with the pledge of allegiance. There's the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Welcome everybody. We'll start with the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay.
We moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we have an approved agenda. Now moving on to comments and suggestions from citizens. Is there anybody that is not a part of Mr. Marmian's or Mr. Lenz's class in the audience that wants to speak to us tonight? All right, hearing none. So for those students that are in those two individual teachers classes, I talked with Mr. Marmian for parent-teacher conferences, and he really appreciated the fact that I really grill you guys a lot and came up with many more questions for you guys to ask, or to answer tonight, so I'm totally joking. So,
They all do.
I know.
You're in his life.
Woo! All right, so I will say though, my son did say, "Hey Dad, can I come to another school board meeting?" I was like, "Whoa."
He did?
He did. I was shocked. All right, so state your, huh?
He wants something.
He does want something, so I'm still trying to figure out what that is. All right, state your name, who your teacher is, and we'll stick with favorite subject tonight. Don't all speak
Don't
and
all
stand
speak.
up at once.
I'm Nicole Hossie, my teacher is Mr. Marmian, and my favorite subject is math.
Okay.
My name's Haley Link. My teacher's Mr. Marmian, and my favorite subject is
Wow, lots of math this year.
My name's Carter Hoyt. My teacher is Mr. Lenz, and my favorite subject is math.
Does that line up with what Mom thinks too?
Math?
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from.
All right. All right, thank you for doing that. And any of us can sign your papers at the end of the meeting tonight, so. All right, moving on to consent agenda.
Move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the items on the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. Moving on to recognitions, Joe.
Yeah, we had 200 South Jazz Choir received a Division I rating with a near perfect score. Participations: Tabby Skiles, Lizzie Samara, Rachel Erickson, Anna Sophia Council, then C.J. Jackson, Grace Gephardt, Charlotte Madden, Hannah Noonan, Kristen
Ingerson.
Thank you.
Ingerson, yeah.
Riley McCoy, Thomas McCarthy, and Louis Tapia. Oh, Zach McMahon, Nate Anderson, Colin Meinert, Maddox Lamb, and Steve Banky. So congratulations to all of them.
Kudos to them. Your perfect score.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to bills, Joe.
Thank you. This evening I have $2,006,771 worth of bills presented for approval for payment. The items I have to highlight are payment to BSN Sports for $13,548. That's for spring and summer sports equipment and supplies. There's a payment to Diligent for $4,410. That's for our board doc annual renewal. A payment to Genesis Outpatient Rehabilitation Services for $5,700 for second semester athletic training services. And a payment to Central DeWitt for open enrolled out students. There's several of those on there this week for $55,509. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion on the bills?
just for the spring sports equipment, spring and summer. Do we get any of that back from the boosters, or is that?
Part of that was from the booster jab. That was a little bit of both.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess for people that are wondering about the board docs, that is a system that we use. And it also keeps track of all of our policies and is very searchable, and then we can also see other districts' policies on there too,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
So it's worth the money in my opinion.
About $10,000 of that was booster money.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about the rehab services. That's just a blanket fee, right, that we pay? it doesn't matter how many students utilize it?
Correct.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
But you get stats on that, don't you?
I do not.
You don't? No, you,
Probably the trainer would have that.
Yeah, Jason would have that kind of information.
Just curious, yeah.
I'm sure we have more than one student using it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's present at a lot of the events.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Oh, I know.
Ava Hossie should.
I know, I just.
All right, any further discussion on the bills? All right, all those in favor of approving the bills, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, bills are paid. No committee reports tonight, did I say that correct?
Correct.
Okay, now we're moving on to Ed White.
Awesome.
I am a little disappointed that you didn't choose to sit in the front row.
Former students do that for us, but they're holding down the fort up there.
Yeah. Are we gonna be able to?
I'm gonna get it, I think. We're gonna try.
Well, I just appreciate our specials teachers. Laura and I were talking a little bit about who we could have present, somebody that you may not have heard before. Talked to Tracy a little bit, Joe a little bit, and I thought, let's have the specials. We thought the specials teachers would do a great job. So as Ms. Engelman is pulling that up, there's her two lovely children. So
They look lovely and still photos.
This is my part of the presentation.
That's all we have. That's actually it, that's all that's loading right now.
So what did you do to bribe them? to be
Well,
there?
one of my best friends is a photographer and she had all the bells and whistles out for me. She's very easygoing, he was quick timing, he's holding still, just move.
How old are they?
Now they're older than this picture. Ivy is here at Ed White in 2nd grade. She turns 8 this week. And our little Bo / Wreck-It Ralph turns 5 this week.
It's that second born.
Oh
I'll tell
man,
ya.
he's a wrecking ball. Yep.
So, I don't know if all of you know our specials teachers. Annie Engelman teaches art. Jenny Bloomquist is our teacher librarian. We have Rita Hart, who is our music teacher, and her student teacher, Miranda Preuss. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Awesome. And then PE teacher, Blake Hanna. And now, Lori, if you want to sing some music.
We have the students here, they can.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
We were gonna sing Grand Old Flag for like the old days when we used to. Right. And now there's a flag. And now I am.
I'm gonna take it back.
I
Blake,
will
take
say,
it away.
Carrie, I was excited when I looked at this earlier and I saw that it was specials were on here too.
Good.
Somebody had seen it a little bit, so.
Just a little. Don't worry, I talk fast.
It's trying hard.
It's trying very hard.
It's all right.
Thanks, Katie. Me served.
Do I stand by you with my ketchup and sorbet?
We just want to make sure we weren't blocking that camera.
We did not plan this.
Showed up.
We already did this, right?
Yep.
Did we do this?
Bingo. All right, so I'm up. This is like the one time in my career where I dread ABC order because it makes me go first. So I pulled one highlight for each grade. These are pulled both from library standards and/or computer science standards, since we're incorporating those as well. For kindergarten, big thing is introducing to iPads in the fall, like actually how to close tabs out and put in headphones, things like that. And then in the spring, I start introducing them to Chromebooks, basically just login information, because as you can imagine, it takes like 40 minutes to figure that out. But then by the time they get to 1st grade, they're at least familiar with that concept, and it helps those 1st grade teachers quite a bit. For 1st grade, a lot of independence in trying to find books using the call numbers. We start that young so that they get used to it. They are already at the point where they're helping each other out finding those books. So it just gives them that independence and that success. 2nd grade, PebbleGo is one of our new AEA databases, and so we've really focused on that, using it for research. And then creating a slides presentation from start to finish. They're used to going to slides and clicking on things, but here they actually create it and get to show it off. Third grade, we go more in depth into the databases offered on AEA OneClick. Fourth grade, ethical use of information, so citing sources and really understanding why we do that. Fifth grade, website evaluation and not falling just for the first result and actually considering what is available there. And then sixth grade, we introduce them to Noodle Tools, which is a resource that they sometimes use in the junior high. So again, I'd say we don't hit it super hard here, but enough that by the time they get to it there, they hopefully remember it and at least kind of recognize it. Here are some collaborative projects that all grades do. Kindergarten, we do, I call it dot spot coding. So we do offline coding where we move a student throughout the dots and we put in conditionals like you can't use the blue dots or you can't move diagonal, and it just gets them thinking through those clear directions. Second grade, we do a cycle of design unit where they study engineering and shapes and they create bridges out of kind of found materials. In the middle, third grade, another cycle of design project where they get to create paper airplanes, and the real highlight is they get to throw them in the library. So they always love doing that. Like, we get to throw them in the library. So they really enjoy that one. And then fourth grade, in a few weeks, we'll be doing another collaborative project where they have limited materials, but they have to pick up a ping pong ball, which is placed about 3 feet away from them, and they can only use paper, string, paper clips, and tape. So it really gets them trying different ideas and working together to succeed. And I really wanted to highlight some circulation history. So I looked first at the 2018-19 school year, which would be the last full year before I was hired here. And you can see the circulation stats were just under 23,500. And then last year was my most recent full year with me in this position, and we are just over 30,500 circulations. And that's just books. It does not include any technology. And how this is happening is through a lot of different things. Primary focus is getting new books out there. Last year I added almost 650 books just in that year. This year I'm on track to do about the same. Moving books around, I'm pretty sure I've exasperated my clerk when I'm like, hey, we're gonna move books again. She's like, all right, just tell me what we're doing. But it's to make it more user-friendly, easily accessible for them. Independence in finding books, whether it's they know exactly where to go because they know how to use call numbers now, or they're comfortable just wandering the shelves and finding things that jump out to them. I do read-alouds for all classes. K2, it's traditionally picture books, sometimes pulled from our award books, sometimes just things that might fit into units. And then 3rd through 6th, I read from our children's choice books, so it gets all of them exposed. And it makes it so that when we do our Iowa Award Books voting in the spring, every single student at this school can vote because they've all heard at least 2 of those stories. And then obviously Iowa Award Books, Goldfinch for younger, Children's Choice for older. An optional thing is book battle. We had 16 teams participate this year. And I'm really proud to say that one of our 4th grade teams is moving on to the district round. And I feel like they really stand a great chance of succeeding there. We also had some teacher teams do book battle just as a fun extra thing.
Just to brag. My team.
Here we go. And then finally,
your team.
No, did not carry my team, but I did contribute.
And then finally, I post images of all of the books that I share with students, and I often see them going back to those, hey, where can I find this book? Or I want to share this one. So just really encouraging that love of reading.
And this is me. We've done a whole lot this year. So I just focused on the most recent, the month of February. We really talked about love and kindness in our culture here in the school. So in this month, all student artists created heart projects to symbolize love and kindness. They learned about different influential artists. Just some of the few were Chris Hughes, Romero Brito, and Keith Haring. Students used these artists as inspiration to create their own projects for a heart-filled hallway. And they got a say in like where they wanted to put things in the hallway, how they kind of wanted that to look. And then this is them actually creating those projects. All students explored different styles of arts and materials and techniques. We made a whole lot of messes. They experimented, they made a lot of mistakes, and yet they still problem solved to create beautiful art that they were proud of. We've really been talking about that this year of not worrying so much about the product, but more about the process itself of making art. And this process of creating art and experimenting allows students the opportunity to create and explore. It helps them build their confidence, fine motor skills. In the younger grades, I'm noticing there's a higher need for that now, so we're really working on our fine motor skills. And it improves their focus. When they are able to expand on their creativity, it helps them reduce stress, build self-esteem, and improve their overall social-emotional well-being. And that's another thing we're really working on. One of our bonuses for social-emotional well-being is next week, the week before spring break, when it's all crazy and conferences and everything, we throw one more thing in, and I do what's called Glow Week for the kids. So in here it's pitch black, but we have all our black lights, all the LED lights, and they get to come in and create glow projects, and they get all excited in their glow attire and everything, and of course I get in on that too. And we make a lot of messes, and we have a lot of fun. So it's our way to kind of kick off that third trimester, end of the year, little excitement. And then they leave for spring break, and it's great.
All right, so my turn. So when I think about my lessons for PE, I want kids, when they leave and when they come to PE class, to have a positive experience. So I center my lessons around sportsmanship, positive attitude, cooperation, respect, and teamwork. And if we can do all those things, hopefully we'll have a successful class in PE class. With K1, we have 22 minutes of class because I switch with music. So the quicker I get kids in a routine about what to expect of what's going on, the quicker we can get into a lesson and get the kids moving. I feel like half my job is to get the kids moving and get the wiggles out so they go back to classroom, they're ready to sit and be focused and learn. So we do a lot of station work with the younger kids, especially K1. Like a picture there on the left is, we get the rock wall, and I love the rock wall. I get that done all the time, let the kids climb that. We had hula hoops going on that day, but station work works great with K2. They go to 5 or 6 stations, they're all doing something, they have something to work with, and so it works out really good. Like I said, we want to do things together. The picture on the right is a double class we had. We're all stretching together. I think the more we can work together and do the same thing and be a team, that the more success we'll have in class. With the older kids, we have 45 minutes of class because we don't switch with music. So I can get into more in-depth type lessons. I think one of my favorite lessons to do is Survivor that we do with the kids. With Survivor, I have 6 challenges I set up, and we draw cards to see what team they're on for teams. We have about 5 or 6 teams in the class, and then they have to figure out how to do a challenge. And the challenge is like challenge number 2 there, they had to move that ball from that post over to the next post and work together to move it. So a lot of it is teamwork, working together. Within those challenges too, there's also, what are you gonna do when a teammate, doesn't fail but doesn't get the job done? How do you handle that? Because that's a lot of real life. How do you handle adversity? How do you handle, when your team doesn't do as well as you want it to? So, and then challenge 3 there, where there's like 5 jobs in there. And to go back to when they're figuring out what to do for these challenges, there's like 5 jobs within a challenge. They have to think about, we have to communicate, okay, what job are you gonna do? What job are you gonna do? Some people want to do like that one in the middle, they got a plunger and they're putting a ball in there. A lot of people want to do that challenge, okay? But there's only one job, one person can do that challenge. So we have to talk about what's best for the team, working together, cooperating, and then challenge 6 there. They're passing. They're wooden eggs is what they're doing, but they're passing wooden eggs back and forth to get them from one spot to the other spot. How quick can they do it? And I time the challenges. And the team names for this is like, there's a team name, sportsmanship, team respect, team cooperation, team positive attitude. So it's just building on positive attitude, working together, communicating, and so it works really good. That's probably my favorite unit to do. We still do presidential physical fitness. I know when I was growing up we had that, but we still recognize those kids that can achieve at a high level in physical fitness. And then something new I started this year was the fastest class challenge. So one day each semester, one of their PE days each semester, I'll set the timer for 5 minutes and they're going to do laps, and I got a baseball clicker that I use pitch counting, that when they run by me, I click, click, click. So how many laps can they do as a class in 5 minutes? So then I do a class average and figure out the fastest class for each grade. So I want to keep things as positive and give kids opportunities to go out and succeed any way they can. So, so that's kind of my deal with PE.
Right, for music, the most visible part of music, of course, is our music programs that we do at the high school. So these are photos from this year's music programs. We started off with our 2nd, 3rd, 4th graders. They performed the Thursday before Thanksgiving. Their program was called What a Feast. And so they sang songs about all different kinds of foods. And then we also gathered food for the North Scott Food Pantry. And we collected 989 pounds of food. So it was really neat for them to give back to the community after their program was over. The week after Thanksgiving, we, 5th and 6th grade, did A Kid's Life. And the theme for this one was, what do kids do when there's no power and their technology doesn't work? What are they gonna do? So we sang songs about board games and paper airplanes, and also some jump roping. We added some cup routines and basketballs in there, and the kids had a great time. The last one was a couple weeks ago in February. Our kindergarten 1st grade kids did a program called Wonder Walkers. I like to take kids' books and turn them into music programs, so I picked Wonder Walkers. It's a Calvin Cat winner from 2022 by Micha Archer. And every page asks a different question. So like one of the questions was, is the sun the world's light bulb? We sang a song about the sun. So that was just a fun way to kind of explore those things. When we do music programs, we talk about, of course, musicality and those things, but again, there's that whole idea of teamwork. How can I contribute to the overall group? I'm part of this big, big team, but my contribution is important. Then, of course, in the music classroom, kindergarten through 6th grade students participate in music activities in which they sing, play instruments, compose, improvise, read, listen, evaluate, and connect to music at their appropriate levels. So these are just some pictures of some of those activities for this year. The first photo is some kindergarten kids playing instruments. We were doing a Halloween song, and they were playing instruments to go with the sound effects in the song. They had fun with that. Our 1st graders are actually composing their own music. The colored tubes they have are called boom whackers. They love boom whackers. So boom whackers and the xylophones, they worked with a buddy, and they composed their own songs that they played for us. The 3rd picture is Miss Miranda, when she was student teaching. These are our 3rd graders, and they were listening to a piece by Scott Joplin, a ragtime piece. It was one of our February composers. And they had to tap different rhythms on the cups and then pass the cups in the cup game, and they really thought that was fun. And the final one is 5th graders. They composed their own melodies, and they had to play them on the xylophones. So really, for all our kids, kindergarten through 6th grade, they love playing the instruments, and they really like composing their own music and getting to share that with their classmates. This one is how does music connect to other academic areas. This is actually hanging right outside my hallway right now, outside my classroom, to show the students too that music does connect to the rest of their lives. So music and math, that's basically primarily all the rhythms that they do is the math aspect. The language, we use Italian terms when we talk about music, and kids learn to sing in different languages sometimes. History, some songs really have that deep connection. The 3rd graders came in, like, we're learning about the Underground Railroad, so we sang Follow the Drinking Gourd. Right when they were learning about the Underground Railroad, they just had some really cool ties to that. Reading, there are many studies that suggest that there's a deep correlation between reading and music. For my master's thesis, actually a few years ago, I wrote a whole paper about reading and music, especially the correlation between study beat and fluency. There's a lot of research out there about that. And then finally, the science aspect, our 4th graders are learning about instruments right now, and they don't know it, but they're learning some really important acoustic lessons as far as smaller instruments making higher sounds and bigger instruments playing with lower sounds. And so just experimenting with some of those concepts as well. In March, we have Music in Our Schools Month, and we're really excited to show the importance of music in North Scott.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I just wondered, how often do you see the kids grade level? I mean, each one of our specials. So how often do you see K through 6?
We're all the same. We're on a 4-day rotation. So we'll see every class every 4 days.
For how long? I mean, because I'm hearing 21 minutes over here.
Well, our kindergarten is
so
split 22 and 22.
Okay.
They also split 1st grade. But for the other 2 of us, we have them 45 minutes. And we see every grade each day.
Every day?
Yep, every grade each day.
Every
One
grade,
day,
but
one
not
day
every
in that
class.
section.
Not every class, yes.
Right.
Every class, every 4 days.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you guys. We often talk about math, science, and all these, which is also very important, we all know, but you guys make it inspirational. And I think back, I can't remember my art in elementary, maybe it's just me. My art, my music.
I don't know, ask them, do they remember their art? I don't know.
think they do.
Great.
Now I
Alright.
think they do.
Success.
And library, all that. I mean, thanks for what you do. You tie it into learning, you tie it into self-esteem, everything. I heard that from everybody. And I want to thank you for that, because you're helping develop these lovely kiddos of ours. And you can tell the energy and passion you guys have, make it happen. And we appreciate it immensely.
We all had to go over to Armstrong.
We all did.
We all did.
Yeah.
So when the building shrunk to 3, they all had to not only do every class that was here, they also spent time at Armstrong. I think then towards the end, we started calculating out how many actual student contacts they had. It was unreal.
We have a lot.
And so, you know, for to step up and do that and never really complain, I think I remember how I started getting the conversation, well, wait a minute here. This is an awful lot of contacts. So that means that's a report card for every one of them. And I can't remember what the number was, but in the end, before we brought them back.
A lot. Wonderful, great children, but there were a lot.
It was a lot,
Yeah.
and so thank you
Yeah.
for that,
Yeah.
because that, you know, obviously the building shrank, but it was a big commitment on your part to still do this building and help out another building while classes fluctuated, so thank you.
Thank you.
How much do you get to collaborate with other buildings? Much do you?
On PD days, we get to meet with our teams. We usually,
Yeah.
my art department is very close-knit, so we meet quite often or brainstorm together, which is great, but we don't get to
Yeah.
meet physically in person as much
Yeah.
as we'd like. We'd
Yeah.
like to meet more, but
Yeah.
I'm very blessed because we are a great team, specials team. You don't always see that in every building necessarily, but
Right.
I'm very grateful for the team I stand up here with because I couldn't do what I do without them.
I can tell that's really nice.
I would also like to recognize these guys because if somebody is absent of these 4, they have no problem combining specials. So like one of Blake's pictures was 2 classrooms
Yeah.
together, and there's never a complaint. So I want to just kind of recognize them for that.
Thank you.
When you collaborate with other, any other cohorts, do you, can you share the lessons? Like, so if I went to another school with the library, what I see you do there is basically STEM experiments and
Yeah,
activities.
we,
Is
I
that
mean,
what you all do?
we have an ongoing curriculum that we've been working on ever since I've been here. This is my 4th year here, and so it's been a constant work in progress, but we try our best to be in order with everyone else. Some of the smaller projects, like my ping pong ball, might be a little different, but the idea is the same at each school. We're always doing those collaborative projects. So the nitty gritty might be a little different.
So it might be a white ping pong versus an orange one.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's the only difference, yeah.
Sometimes there's a tie-dye one in there, but if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So Blake, I see that with the Lansing Stadium under construction, there's a different idea for field day this
Yeah.
year. I saw an email about it, but do you
Yeah.
want to share a little bit about what you're doing? for that?
So we're gonna have, we're gonna go to Sheridan Meadows, and we have 7 stations for them to go to, about a half hour each station. We got like bean bags, like I'm running bean bags, volleyball, beach volleyball, kickball, pickleball. We're renting some from jump, not, I don't know if it's jumping joys, but some inflatable obstacle course, which is like 100 foot long, I think, maybe. It's huge. And then there's one more, I forget what it is, but it's a little bit different format. I like what we do out here a lot, but I'm used to that. I've been doing it for 20 years, but this may work out better. I don't know. if
Well,
we'll-
thanks for doing that, because
Yeah.
you guys could have just said, we're just skipping this year. You know,
Yeah.
it's the football field is under construction, but you guys work together, and I think it's gonna be a great day. I'm excited. I hope we have
Yeah.
good weather.
Yeah, for sure.
Fifth and sixth grade.
Yeah.
Fifth and sixth grade.
Yeah.
I bet you need volunteers, so maybe some of us
Yeah.
can come and help.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Anyone but me can run an inflatable thing.
Yeah,
No,
not
thanks.
me either.
I'm out.
I'll just fall in there.
Yeah.
I'll try it.
Any other questions? All right, thank
Thank
you
you,
all
guys.
for coming
Thank
in.
you, guys, so much.
All right, moving on to old business. We've got policy
Yeah,
committee
but-
recommendations, Joe?
Yeah, so we have the second reading for policy. I just want to point out the new ones. So 503.8, 503.8R1, those are the new policies required by the state of Iowa for the discipline. And then 703 or 707.3 and 607.3 and 607.3R1 are the AI policies. And then 804.4R1 is the policy. 705.2 is the new policy required because of our bonds. And so those would be the newest ones. Most other ones were updated either due to law change or language change. Some were renumbered, and then the 600 and 800 series was reviewed. And so tonight is the final approval to move them on.
Entertain a motion.
I move to push forward the second reading of the policies.
Second.
We move to second. Any discussion on the policies here that we're approving tonight? Again, for everybody, this is ongoing. I was on the policy committee for several years. It's an ongoing thing, so I'm sure you already got the next meeting scheduled.
Not quite yet.
Like
After the
close.
legislative
Yes.
session. Yes.
So, all right. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the policy committee recommendations, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. Moving on to childcare tuition fees and program changes.
We do have Teresa here tonight, and I introduced this last week, and Teresa could not be here due to a conflict that arose.
Teresa.
But we do have her here tonight to talk about the changes, and we did introduce it last month because they are major changes.
Is this the same presentation?
It is not. It's been updated because there's been increased costs to make sure that we can balance the budget.
Okay.
And so she'll go through it, but, and I explained it last time, it was either we start making changes the way we do business, or the years are numbered in which we would have to get out of the business, so.
And before you get to start, we have approval tonight to approve these?
It's, we're recommending approval to the changes that are recommended tonight, so.
Floor is yours.
Do you need a presentation up, or?
I mean, you have.
We all
yeah,
have,
you
we have, so.
Okay, I have it on my, on here anyway, so, I'm good that way. Yeah, basically, your last page is what has changed here, just to go over how the business is changing. It has changed, since after COVID. Everything kind of took a hit pretty bad there. It bounced back pretty good, like the first year after that, because, you know, everybody was trying to get back to work. So we saw an increase there. Well then, as things started to tighten down, we've always been that place where we took those part-timers, you know, trying to accommodate as many families as we could that way. Well, now it's come to the point where it's just hurting us too much. We can't maintain that any longer, and when I talk to my peers out there, they're like, oh yeah, we had to ditch it. There's just, the expenses are getting too hard. There's just no way to maintain that at all. And pretty much the core, what you see out there now is facilities only taking full-time children. That's it. They will take Monday through Friday, there's no exception. That's it. So, and that is the biggest change for us, is that we would switch from allowing those part-time, you know, families to come to switching to full week. And there being, yes, I'm sure we'll lose some families. Now, those families too, over the past few years, the biggest thing that I have noticed is that we start out at the beginning of the year, they intend to come all week. Then, we get to November, December, oh, hey, can we drop down to, you know, 3 days a week? And then it just kind of trickles down as we get towards the end of the year. And it's just, the nickel and diming is what's really, it's hurting our bottom line. And I mean, our expenses are the same. I have to maintain staff. It doesn't change that way. You know, we have to do activities with kids. We feed them as well. So all those things, we always have that overhead there. We're very fortunate in the fact that, you know, we're using facilities within our district, so we have less overhead than most people. The difference being is we don't provide, you know, the medical benefit package for my staff. For years, we tried really hard to keep our wages up higher for, to compete with others, and now that's probably our next biggest challenge, will be the staffing going forward. So we're hoping with adjustments made, we can look for some better qualified staff that we can hopefully start paying better and look for those people to come in and help us improve our programming as well. And that's the goal, to provide a nice quality experience for these kids coming in. They want to come in, they want to have fun, we want to do fun activities with them. You know, that's what it's about. We don't want them to be like, I have to go to after school. We want them to be like, all right, it's like here at White, Thursday night, Miss Olivia's here, and you know, they know she'll have a really cool craft project because she takes art classes and she really enjoys doing those things with her kids, so they know there's a specific night that Miss Olivia will have an art project for them. So it's those types of things that we're really trying to get moving along and provide to those kids for more engaging, as you can see.
Yeah, I would say, you know, when we hear from people, there's a shortage of daycare. So even if we lose some, we assume we'll pick up others. But it's an assumption. So for example, we hear about a daycare shortage, but on the full day off, 5 kids showed up at White.
Yep.
2 staff, 5 kids.
Yep.
You're not making money when it's just drop in and they may or may not show up. And that's why we can't continue that. You know, if there's a real need out there, we will hopefully start seeing people.
Right.
And if they're paying for it, maybe they would be coming. Versus, but it's hard to be open for 5 kids.
It is.
You know, now those 5 kids need us, but we can't continue to lose 30,000 a year. And those were those first part of the slides, is we've consistently lost 30,000 a year. And if it wasn't for the COVID money from the state and from the federal government, we would already be in a world of hurt. So,
Joe, something else to mention too. This is not the general fund pot of money. This is an enterprise that has to be self-sustaining.
it's a self-sustaining enterprise. The general budget could never put money into this program. We would need
So
to
it's
drop
not a
it.
subsidy or anything else.
Correct.
Yep, yep.
No.
The only subsidy would be the use of the facilities.
Right, and really the majority of our parents are paying the tuition. That's the majority of our income is going directly to staff, equipment, supplies, that sort of thing. We do have some children who are state funded as well, and so they will come in having state approved childcare. We get it at a reduced rate, but we're still providing it to them. We also get the benefit of, even though we have to accept the state's rate that they pay out, we do get several days of absence that if they're not there, we get paid those days regardless. But that's where our money is. That's it. So, as far as the rates go, looking over it, I did bump it up more. I talked to Brent again from the Family Why, because talking to everybody out there, it pretty much is going on that they're all changing it as well. The fees are upping because they too are struggling. They're struggling with staff. I know with the Y, Brent said that he at some point too is putting him into classrooms just because the staffing is so hard to find. And I mean, especially when you're looking at before and after school, that is a struggle because you're only offering 2 hours in the morning, you know, and another 3 hours in the afternoon. So you have a person, they have to be able to accommodate that type of schedule in there, and it is difficult. If you're lucky, you can find a person to work both ways. If not, you're looking at, you know, trying to find ways to work with your full-time staff and cover your day and that. So the struggle is there, and we're hoping with the increase, 1, we'll get ourselves out of our deficit. 2, we're going to be able to pay those employees better and look for more qualified people too as we go. Right now, we have a great group of high schoolers here at this particular building because it's in walking distance for most. Glory be to that. But those are the things we want to be able to provide, those additional activities.
So the early outs on Fridays, you guys will be able to help families in that
That's
area
what
as well?
that is what we're hoping to be able to do. We have a license in there, and so we'll see, like always, what the general pattern will be.
What the need is and
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we have to also have a commitment, right? By at least, we talked about this by semester. If you're gonna choose Fridays, you're gonna pay for the whole semester because we're gonna plan accordingly.
Yeah.
And right now, she's well below 15 an hour. She's, after this year, she would be the only staff that we have below 15. The Y is committed to paying 15 an hour minimum. That's what they start at now. And so we are falling behind
We are.
on what we're paying compared to the other providers. I shouldn't say the other ones, the Y for sure.
The Y.
And I sit on the board, so I know, that they just had to commit to it because they were doing the same thing, struggling getting people for less than 15 an hour. And so, yes, but we need that commitment. Same with days off. Yes, it's $50 a day, but we need a commitment either for the semester or the year. Because again, we have 2 staff members, 5 kids. That
Yeah,
it
and
doesn't work.
we legally have to have 2 staff there regardless. So, and the ratio for school age for us would be 1 adult to 15 children. So you're like,
Yeah.
you're not even meeting it for 1, and then you still have to have that other body there regardless. So, yeah, it hurts. Other questions?
Thanks for doing this.
No, that's, I was wondering, Teresa, what, this is, thank you for doing all this. What is your plans for like recruitment of students
We,
in any way?
aside from the people that I have calling me constantly, which I
Right.
do, which I have a list and I take their email and I email out all the information when it comes to fall, when it comes to summer, and that's what I do. If we hit to a point, which typically it's never an issue for us to get to a point where we reach it, because oh geez, beginning of May, you're already looking at summer going, I only have a couple spots left, and there's gonna be how many people calling, you're like, I gave out what I had to, I try to take everybody I can as I go. The benefit of starting this summer especially is that we're only taking them Monday through Friday. Right now, I already know, I have X amount of spots,
Right.
that's it.
Yeah, I think it'll be much different for us, Joni, now because of taking the Monday through Fridays.
Yeah.
So right now is we have families who need Monday through Friday,
Yeah.
but somebody who comes once or twice a week takes
Yeah.
that slot.
Right.
And that's, again, we don't
No,
change
that's
it.
what I
So,
thought.
but we use our monthly newsletters to make sure, obviously, we
do.
have access to our parents. In the past, we've had signs put out at each of the schools.
I've posted it through like school newsletters as well, if we hit a point where we have openings and stuff, which that will change going into this year, seeing how, we'll see what this turns into. It is a new thing, so we'll see, and if that's the case, we'll reach out that way as well. We do have signs that we can put out as well, saying that we're enrolling, so all those things are out there.
And the other one we would do is she will get licensed Neil Armstrong, so that we can add
Oh,
even
yeah.
more slots
Yeah.
to the district. And
Yeah.
so, but again, I know we hear about it.
We do.
But you actually have to use us to,
Right. Yeah.
to help. I mean, we want to
Yeah.
help, but
Yeah.
again, my example is I hear all this need, and I see 5 kids show up, and I wonder, well, what's the need?
Right.
And there's a lot of reasons. People
Oh,
took
for
3-day
sure.
weekends
Yeah.
and things like that, but again, it's a business.
It
They
is.
need to have a business model that keeps them in business, because we don't do anybody any good if we have to close our
No,
doors.
exactly, that just means those families are scrambling even harder.
Yeah.
It's like,
Can you go through the increases though?
oh, sure, absolutely, I will. So looking down here, what I'm looking at for my full-time rate, which is, it would be any of the hours with us. We don't limit how many hours they could actually be in our care. We're open 6 to 6 for the full time, and that fee would go up to $175. Currently, we're at $165. So that too, this would be for school age, this would be summer, this would be winter, spring break, that sort of thing for that rate. Now, and then that will also be the rate for like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds who do wraparound. Typically, they end up needing a whole day by the time they come before school starts, go to preschool and come to us after. Although, like in our location down at Grissom, they'll be having afternoons, so they will be with us for a while in the morning, and then probably after, unless they have to be taking the bus home. So then if you're looking school age wise, before and after school, we can start 2 different things. You can have before school only kids, you can have after school only kids, and so depending if we call that a one-way, the lingo, and so that would be 70 a week, where currently it's at 62. Typically the core now of most people would be doing one-way, which the majority of them would be after school. Although you do get a handful that are just before. Then the other part being before and after, looking at 85 for a week. Currently it's at 78. Actually, when you look at our before and after rate, we're a bargain compared to a lot of people because they charge a before-school fee and an after-school fee that are exactly the same. For, in our case, it would be $140 if I did it the way they did. And I'm only looking at 85. So, that's interesting, but, you know, I'm like, wow. I don't know how many they have take them up on that, but I'm sure there are some who would have to. And then our full day rate is still at 50. We keep that, it's a solid 50. I'm hoping come next year we'll see more people that it won't be 5, 6 on a day. So, and then we have always traditionally done for children who are at our highest rate at 175. If they have additional children, the second child, we give them $10 off, and then the third child will be $10 off and such. So we would continue to do that. The other part that we're looking at is they've always complained about, we don't do that for them with school age. And so I put in there to do a $5 discount for school age families. Because let's face it, for me, if I bring a family of 3 in, I have 3 people right there versus having to go out and find 3 single families instead of 1 family with 3 children. So why not give them that? And I do have a lot of 3 children ladies. So why not offer them that as well? Because we appreciate the fact that they're still with us.
Right.
So.
But even with the recommended changes, it still puts us at the low end of our competitors, right? We're not the most expensive. And the goal always of this program and for 20, how many years?
Oh,
24,
it's been
25?
from
Long time.
5.
But our goal was never to run a private business
1985.
out of business and to be under them. It's always been to be within their range. We just want to be an opportunity for families.
If families are on free and reduced lunch, can they get assistance with it?
If that's
That would
through
be
the state.
that would be through the state. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, we're
qualify.
licensed, so we can.
Yeah.
Yep. But they can apply through to get child care assistance.
I can tell you're trying so hard to accommodate the families, but you also know that we don't want to lose this program, so we've
No.
got to do some changes. So
And
thank
that's
you
just
so
it.
much for trying to find a balance.
We've tried for a very long time, but it's just.
And we don't want to make a lot of money, we just don't want to lose.
Right, we don't,
Yeah,
we
it's
don't,
not
and
making
that's
money.
it, we just wanna break even. If we have a little extra, we'll put it in the fund for that rainy day, because we know, just like COVID hit, there's always those times, there's ups and downs, but.
Pay staff and
We
buy
hope-
supplies.
Yeah.
That's all we really want to do.
Yeah.
Good job. Well thought out, and I know it'll work. We have confidence.
It's a big change, so
Yeah,
we'll,
thank you.
It's great to offer it.
Joe, just a quick question, and-
Sure.
and I don't know if you have it, or Jill would have it, or you have. With these increases, I know that we're looking at trying to get rid of the families that just drop a kid off one time and they're taking up a slot that could be used for a full family.
Yep.
These rates, if you would fill those one-timers, two-timers with full-time people, would be very beneficial.
Very much.
Okay? It would also allow us to be prepared to be able to pay our staff
Right.
at a going rate, hopefully
Right.
above the $15.
Our goal has always been to get our
So-
staff to 15 an hour.
Yeah,
So
it is.
I think that, I guess my concern is, or my question is, based on the information that we've got here, based on the number of people that we can serve,
Right.
is this gonna be enough to get us where we want to be?
I've gone around how many different ways for that? And you plug it in, you change it around, and you're
Sure.
like, this is looking solid.
I mean, I know the bottom line is to make sure that you have full-time people
Right.
coming in,
Yeah,
and
it is.
you can get that, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be huge.
Yeah, well, and that is huge. Not only is it the rate that increases, but it's just the fact that instead of only getting $17 a day or 34 for 2 days a week, I'm going to be at the better rate of $70. So
Right.
right there, I've already,
I think it'll be
double what I
a
have.
time that will tell. The assumption is
Yeah.
based off of, looking at our numbers, our number
Yeah.
of slots, that we should be able to close the $30,000
Yeah.
deficit, I would say. But it also depends on people actually, using it. Now, I would say because we're on the low end and companies that are owning their building and paying taxes on their building, if they're doing it for that amount, we should be. Able to, because we don't have the electric bill, we
Yeah.
don't have the rent, we don't have the taxes, and so, and you don't wanna jump too much.
Right.
No.
Right, I wouldn't wanna get up, I mean, if you look at the Y, one time we looked at the Y taking that, like, ooh,
Uh-huh.
they're pretty pricey.
Yeah.
You know,
It
we don't
is.
want families making a choice necessarily to have two younger kids at home because they can't afford a seat.
Right.
And so it's that balance.
Yep.
It is a fine balance, but yeah, I mean, after looking at it, initially my first thought was 5, and it's like, yeah. And Jill looked too, and it was just like, it's not gonna do it.
And I think
So-
it's a nice gesture that we give them a discount for the second child and the third
Right.
child. So
Well,
it's a good.
To me, it does make business sense.
Sure,
You wanna treat your customers as well as you can,
right.
not only the child, but the adult paying.
Right. I mean,
Thank you.
You think, piggyback on Frank said, you had a little good comments, Frank, is that, what do we choose this service for? What are we looking for
Mhm.
as a family?
Right,
You know,
yeah.
the quality, the safety, the cleanliness,
Yeah.
and the cost, but with those things can
Yeah.
override the cost if we have those. If we don't have those,
Right,
you know,
exactly.
so all those things,
Yeah.
what's important for
Yeah.
families.
We want them to have, have that connection.
Yeah.
With the staff, with the kids.
I know.
Then you see them get old like this and go through high school. I'm feeling old now.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much
Yeah. there you
for
go.
coming tonight.
Oh,
I have a few questions for you.
Molly has a question.
oh, sorry.
So how many slots do we have right now that are those drop-ins?
When you look at it, let me pull it up here.
I mean, how many more families do we think we're gonna be able to serve by changing the model, right?
Well, the model itself, if you look at it, when I have the, what slide is this one? I think it's my third slide in there. Where I put it as the students who are
The
billed
bill
by the week
comparison
versus
slide.
billed by the day.
Mhm.
That kind of gives you an idea, like, right now, as far as Ed White and Alan Shepard and Virgil Grissom, Shepard has 13 kids that are coming probably 1 to 3 days. So right there, you already have some. Ed White has 16 families who are doing that, where they're only coming in 1 day, probably 3 days. I don't have anybody at 4 because the cost of 4 days is the same as 5. So, but those are just the flat out numbers anyway.
Do we expect those, because there's been a kind of, looks like billed by the day has been a significant
It's
drop.
changed.
I
Yes.
mean, are we expecting to be able to offer, more, I mean, is it,
Well,
because you have a total of 60 kids that we're gonna drop in January of 22 versus 35 now, so.
Our-
I'm just trying to get an idea, because there is, I think there's a great need.
Mhm.
People probably don't come in on Fridays because they've already got it lined up where they can handle
Yeah.
1 or 2 Fridays a month. When you
Right.
get to 4,
Yeah.
they may not have
No,
that
I would
flexibility.
agree.
So-
Mine was Monday on President's Day. We only had 5 kids show up for all
Yeah.
day. I was surprised on a full day.
Do we advertise? I mean,
Yeah.
do parents know they can literally
We,
drop in,
I
or
think
they'd
it's
have to be
in the news.
pre-registered?
We put
right?
up signups for that.
Yeah.
All the time.
The elementary newsletters.
Yeah, it does. And again, that's a time a lot of parents take a 3-day weekend too.
Right.
So it isn't, I was just shocked it was only 5. That was the part that.
And I expected
shocked
2
me.
more, but they ended up sick, but
Oh.
still, that's only 7.
Right, you could have had.
It's still not even 15.
Yeah, yeah, 30. Right.
So, yeah. We have a licensed capacity for each facility. Granted, Shepherd's will be also increasing once we're able to go into the new space instead of the gym, because the biggest problem there was the gym space, with it not being air conditioned, we had to have a backup space to go to if the heat was too much or something to that effect. And so she only licensed us for a certain amount in the library, and we had to maintain that amount versus what we would have been at, which probably would have been closer to 45. So-
And then for the half week, or 1 week half price, is that only if you're full-time? Is
But
that,
that's anytime. That isn't, that's always been, it's a vacation week,
okay.
so,
Assuming though that they're full-time, not just before school.
right. they can do it, well, they can do it with before school too, but they would pay half of what their normal is. They kind of consider it like a reservation fee is how some places
So you're maintaining your spot.
call it. Yeah, so you're maintaining your spot by playing half.
Any other questions? Looks like, I was comparing the bill by the day versus bill by the week, it's almost like we should be able to double our
Right.
allowable for full-time coming in.
Yeah.
Just looking at
Yep.
very gross numbers, so. It varies, I agree with Joe, I think time will tell to
Yep.
see if this really will happen, we'll, I guess, make a decision here from now, so,
Yep.
or sooner.
For sure.
Right, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the child care tuition fees and program changes for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this from anybody? All right, all those in favor of approving the child care revised tuition fees and program changes, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes.
Thanks,
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to health insurance update.
Yeah, the Health Insurance Committee, the reason it wasn't a committee report because we had an action item for it. So they did meet last Wednesday to make a recommendation to the board to be able to meet our increased cost for next year. And that would be moving our reinsurance policy, Wellmark, to $120,000 for stop loss, meaning if a person had health conditions in a year that would hit 120 or more, the reinsurance pays instead of the health insurance paying it. That's required by law. Single family deductibles increased $75,125 and then $1,200 to $2,375. Single family out of pocket max increase $125 to $250 to $2,875 to $5,750 effective $125. Monthly premium increase for the employer employees on 9/1/24, so that's single monthly premium increase. $5, new price would be $50, and family would be $10, new price would be $170. Med1 performance, formulary, prescription drug changes too. What that does is it allows the district's cost, $33,000, Jill?
Yeah, I think that was right.
Right around $33,000 of our new money then will go to health insurance. You know, I think as the committee looked at it, the recommendation is how do you spread out that increase over everybody, over people who take the health insurance and over people who use the health insurance. And by hitting all of that, you kind of spread it out over everybody.
And it was unanimous
It was unanimous.
on the committee. All the different areas were represented, the teachers, the associates, administrators, so it was a good meeting.
And even if you look at us being comparable, even with these increases, we have one of the better insurance offerings in this area now. You know, PV capped themselves about 3 or 4 years ago, and so any increase goes to the employee only. The district won't pick up anymore. Bettendorf has raised their amount they pay per month and things like that to balance out, and so is Davenport. And so we really sit with a good insurance policy, and we sit with an affordable insurance policy in a comparable. And so recommending to make those changes. And you can notice the dates. So they all don't happen. Our insurance is kind of weird in the fact it's a renewal on April 1st, but you notice that we staged in a number of those things. And so that means by not doing them all April 1st, there is the assumption that we will either still break even or our fund balance, which is very healthy, would be eating up that difference until those kick in. But it makes it easier on somebody like a deductible to change the first of the year, because that's when deductibles, you have to pay, otherwise it gets confusing. And so you can see why it's been staged in that way. Jill, did I miss anything?
I was just thinking the only other thing, we did actually have a really good renewal. Our renewal was only 4.5% compared to other districts. I think are over 10%.
Wow.
Yeah. So we do have good users of the plan. You know, the staff is doing a really good job. But it's been over 2 years before we've changed anything. So.
Yeah, we've had 0% 2 years in a row, and to get a 4% coming off to 0%, so that's actually really, really good.
And 4.5 was really good.
Yeah. So it's not a bad year.
Yeah.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the insurance updated information.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion for this one, for Joe or Jill? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the health insurance updates, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, the motion passes. Moving on to superintendent's report. Joe?
All right, legislative update. The House did pass 3% and moved it on to the Senate last week. Today, the House Appropriations Committee voted 24-0 to pass on the minimum teacher's salary of $47.50 next year and $50,000 the following year. And so they're hoping, Gary Moore was hoping that that will actually get debated on the House floor and sent over to the Senate this week. The Senate, though, has those two bills also wrapped up with the AAA bill. And so they never separated out, so I have, no idea, will they separate it out, will they take parts of it and try to get it back to the House? We'll have to wait and see. The AAA bill, there's three versions. There's the governor's version, the Senate version, the House version, and none of them are exactly the same, and I don't know if any of them agree to the next one, so there's still work to do with the AAA bill. A lot of just depend on how it holds up, the getting our SSA. You really need to know, because the new process is March 15th, Jill's sending our mill rate with an explanation of what that mill rate is to the auditor, who's going to send it out to every taxpayer, accounting with the county and the cities too, who don't know anything, to have a meeting, and ours will be the first meeting of April. So if anybody wants to come and question what we put on there, and we're going to be guessing at this point. So.
And also starting negotiations.
And then negotiations,
salaries,
yeah,
it's hard
yeah,
to
and things like that.
negotiate.
And so it'll see, at least the House is getting some work done. There does sound like there's interest out there to do 4K, all day 4K for people who are 185% of the free reduced. I think there's a lot of support for that. But until the AAA bill gets settled, I'm not sure what's gonna happen at the state level. So maybe we'll see something this week for it. There's a lot of other little bills out there too. But right now, those are the big ones that we're watching. So, Vision 25, Alan Shepard, the Terrazzo should start in 2 weeks, which is a good thing, because that's really getting to the tail end.
You said that 2 weeks
ago. Sorry, they really think it'll be 2
Couldn't help
weeks this
myself.
time. If you've been by the regional center, the side panels are going up, the roof is going up, but because the weather has just been phenomenal, they're starting to pour concrete supposedly this week. So that's a big thing. In fact, they've gone from a November completion to October completion because of the month of February, January, to catch up on stuff. And so we're moving in the right direction on that one. Welding, if you happen to drive through the high school parking lot, you can see that they've poured the foundations for the welding. And then that building gets rewrapped, and so going all the way around there, the ledge they're putting is the brick, the bottom layer brick that'll go on that. And so that's why it's dug up all the way around it, and the storm sewers are all done there. And so it's nice, again, been a nice February. The stadium, there's a lot of work going on for pouring, getting the sewers in, gonna start pouring foundations. I was over there today to talk a little bit. We have a height difference from the current high jump. It's 15 inches and 10 feet from the end of the thing. And so tomorrow I'll start working and saying, well, what has been the plan to try to do it? Coaches where a kid catches a touchdown past the end zone and then he starts going up an incline. Is that potentially dangerous, and what can we do about it? And so taking a look at that for it, but obviously a lot of work happening over there. They're gonna start pouring the floor of the restrooms, I think this week. And then that gets wrapped on the outside. Instead of pouring a foundation, there's a metal that gets attached and the brick will go on it. Let's see, where am I at? Junior high and Neil Armstrong, they're starting to get their fencing plans together. It wouldn't be surprising that instead of April 1st, that here in the next few weeks, they start mobilizing those two projects. And then wrestling started this week. In fact, I saw a lot of cars out there today, and another project on there is replacing all of the gutters, and that work started last week. The old gutters are all off the front. If you do notice, they are red, because our intent is to paint the building so great. Cool. So you might go red on brown. It's a gold or whatever. So just so when you see it, that's what I was saying. Yeah. And then March board meeting, just a reminder, March 4th is the work session for budget. That's really what Jill is preparing for, and trying to figure out, how does a 3% impact a 2.5%, and then of course our bonds, and working through all that. And so that'll be March 4th. And then the 18th is our regular board meeting, just the one board meeting, regular board meeting that month. Spring break, March 11th through the 15th. Many people take vacation, so central office is by appointment only. Snow days, the snow days are gonna be added on at the end of the year, so we'd be slated to go June 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and the 5th would be an early out. Now, I'll meet with the principals tomorrow. I'm assuming we're gonna keep the early out, that's the Friday before too, for that, but I'll talk to them tomorrow on that one. So if we would happen to get 2 more, we could go up to Friday. We will not go past June 7th. I'm hoping I say it won't happen.
So
I
think
do.
about it. Can you explain a little bit, because I've had people ask, don't we have enough hours?
Same,
Why,
same amount.
yeah,
Yeah,
so why do we have 3 days, that sort of thing? Can you
Yeah,
explain
so
that?
we have a contract, right? So our teachers and stuff are going to work, they're paid. When we look at it, we look at the quality of education and how much time there is. If it was one day, we were gonna come back on a Monday, then we wouldn't make up that kind of day. The same as we won't go after June 7th. And every day we don't make up, every hourly employee who's a school year employee loses that wage. Our bus drivers, our cooks, our teacher associates, and that has to be part of when we think about that is, if we're not making up those days, you know, we lose education, we lose, employees lose money. And because, you know, if it's 3 days, we'll do semester tests for the high school and stuff, they can do that. But I also understand June 10th, the quality of education we gotta start, and vacations and the kids missing, we would start taking that into consideration. So if we, for some odd reason, which I don't see it in the forecast, ever got, let's say 3 more days, you know, we would not make up the last day, we would do something different. If we got 10 days, obviously we'd start adding, we'd do something different.
So as of right now,
for
the
that.
teacher day and the student day are the same last day?
They are, yeah, and that's the way it's always been scheduled. Yeah, the one year when we did not make up the day, and that's probably why people asked, because they
Yeah.
remember the time we did, we had then in service, which I love that last day with teachers, because we were able to do the retirees.
Yeah.
You know, now many of our retirees get done on May 31st. They take doc days so they can get their retirement checks in June. And so, we would still be losing them, but, so, does that help? People may not buy mine.
Yeah, they may
but
not
it's-
buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd say help me.
And you're gonna probably say, they're not gonna, these kids are gonna be doing anything those 3 days anyway.
The high school, we take a semester exam, so they will.
yeah. They're still crying.
But to your point, Joe, teachers have a contract, so
Yeah.
that contract is not based on hours of instruction. It's based
Correct,
on
that's not,
calendar.
Right.
yeah. In our calendar, the reason we do it also is because our calendar states it. Let's say we wanted to do virtual days, we'll have to state in our calendar someday, we'll do virtual days. And we need to have a good plan to make sure it's high quality education or some quality of education. But you have to state that in your calendar. Our calendar is really clear. It says snow makeup days, all the way up to the 7th. And so, yeah, that's why. Now, I'd have to go back and recount, take away the 3. I mean, I think we were at 1,100 in some hours with our early outs, so, you know.
There's also really no, you know, there's holidays that goes in the calendar, but there's none of the extra PD days that we could have class there and just have the staff come the last 2 days. whatever.
You could, I mean,
We don't have any
you
of those in
could.
February, right?
No, not
We
yet.
don't have any that.
We have one
many.
more.
We
one
would have
more.
had to state that also.
You would have to state it in the
Yeah,
calendar.
so you can't say, oh, President's Day, we're gonna
Yeah.
go to school, because you didn't
So
state that.
when schools talk about built-in snow days, they will say President's Day, if we have a snow day before President's Day, we're gonna go President's Day.
Well, I
And-
mean, we can also always change it.
Oh, we can have we have to have public hearing, but yes, absolutely, public hearing and then change it. But that's how you could build it in. Some would say, well, we'll shrink down spring break. Now, I would say, no, your attendance would be,
Well,
you
it's
know.
late.
Hey, that's what I used to have happen in my
Yeah.
school, and I turned out just fine, so I'm fine with shrinking down everybody's.
You turned out just fine.
Joking.
We had Saturday
Just
school.
joking.
We
Yeah.
gotta make up that.
So that's why.
We walked up the hill, it was 8 feet of snow.
Both ways.
Joe,
Both
should I
ways.
change that on the district calendar on the website?
We
then?
will now. Yeah, I wanted to wait until I
Okay.
talked to the whole.
Because I've got a few questions too, and I just wanna make
Yep.
sure it's on there.
Yeah.
And then, have we decided for sure about the Friday before still being an early out?
Not yet. I'm
Not
gonna
yet,
talk
okay.
tomorrow. Yeah. The snow day was the update.
Public forums.
Public forums, I skipped that one. Remember, those are coming up April, they're both in April.
The virtual session, we're all going to the admin center, we will be there.
Correct, yes, yeah, and we'll use the YouTube, they can type in their questions, so. And then ASA report, you know, I was last week, was it just last week? I was out in San Diego for the National AASA. The reason I go to that is I sit on the AASA board since I was elected to president-elect for the SAI, the state organization. So we have a board meeting and then a national conference, it's their big one. There was some really good stuff at it. It's a huge conference with lots of participants, but they had a lot of things on AI, schools that are actually using it, and how to adapt. And if you've noticed any of the other tools coming out, especially like movie making now, it is unreal what's happening with AI. What I think we have to really look at is how do we help streamline, especially our teachers, some of their jobs that they do that could be automated. But we're just scratching the surface. So it's good to hear what other districts are considering and how they're moving it. We also went to strategic planning sessions and teaming sessions. I generally like to attend those, but a very, very nice conference. Next year, I'll have one more conference that I need to go to because next year will be my president. Then the year I'm the president of SAI, they elect the next superintendent, and that summer that person takes over for the national board that I sit on. And so it's.
What's your term for being president?
So this would have been year 2, and so next year is my president year, and then the following year you're past president, and so it's a little less taxing. So I have the real president year next year. So it's a 4-year total, but next year is the big year for me. So
Delegate your principles.
yeah. Jill said she was going to pick it up for me.
Jill.
So.
Any questions for Joe?
I'm glad you're on it, Joe. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for allowing me to do it. I appreciate it.
Board comments, correspondence. I do want to say one thing. I appreciate everybody putting in your availabilities. We're all very busy, and so we are going to. I know there's something Molly and I talked about maybe doing tomorrow, and then a second guest, and I don't want to force it. So we are going to try and I'll be sending something out about trying to put it on a board meeting night.
So the next one potentially, and I couldn't, you said the 25th, but did you mean the 18th?
No, I mean, yeah, I think I'm here then. I'm not.
So like everybody might be there the 18th. I assumed it was a regular board meeting. So even if we did it 2 hours and we have to book another one, I mean, it's taking forever. I would rather now do like
I just like to get 2 hours.
Like a 4 to 6 before the 18th board meeting, so we can start it.
Yeah, that'll work.
You are here on the 18th?
I'm here.
Oh, good.
It's before my surgery.
We can also count you from the hospital too.
Well, I'm not gonna be in the hospital that day, so that's good.
So yeah, if we could plan on that, at least to get started. I mean, it's been since November since we've been trying to book it.
We gonna do a picture that day too?
I'll see.
We can get my headshot from Rome on there.
Well, if you want to, you can send me that. She can do that. But you can just stop over anytime. She'll run over to the high school.
I can take yours.
She can take it anytime.
I'm
She can
trying
do
to
that
find
anytime.
one
For the group, okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments, correspondence?
You're gonna let us know for sure
Yes,
about
I will.
that?
Yeah, for sure. I'll put a calendar invite.
Okay.
Frank, you got anything?
I just know that, I don't think did we talk about Day on the Hill that, because I think that was the
That was
day
fun
after
last
our
time too.
last board meeting, and they had a different setup where they had SAI, ISB, and AEA at the historical building, and they had 200 plus individuals there, and they had basically a panel that they talked about. They gave some questions as to what's going on, so we got to hear from the representative from AEA's, ISB and SAI, which I thought was very good. So when we went up on the hill, I thought it went very well. We got to see all of our legislators that represent the North Scott community. We get to talk to them. Some school districts were selected to put presentations in the rotunda, and I think that went well. I talked to a couple of them and asked them if they had any legislators coming down and talking to them, and they said yes. And some of them had handouts, and I said, are they reading that, or are you reading it to them? But I thought it was, overall, I thought it was pretty good. There's quick up and back, and we'll be back by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
We were back in time.
We were back in time, so.
Go to basketball.
For the basketball game, so, again, we had to talk to Gary Moore, and Gary was very, I mean, this is what we got. He actually gave us more information than I got off of our lobbyist from IASB the very next day. And I said, well, this is what I got from Gary Moore. He's the appropriations chairs. So it was interesting to see what she was bringing to the table from what I already heard. But seems like Gary was on board as to what was going on. And he was concerned about the additional money for raising teacher salaries, the 50,000, 47.5 or whatever, and how to give the additional monies to the school district, because everybody's got a salary schedule. And if they just give it, I mean, he says, I know we'll just screw up the salary schedule if we don't allow you to work it out. He probably just say, this is what we're gonna do, so I appreciate what he had to say.
It's good that they're cognizant of that.
What's that?
It's good that they're cognizant of that.
Yeah, I mean, he said a heck of a lot more than what we got from any other legislator that I talked to, but.
I've really promoted up there, they need to start looking at total compensation. You know, you go to the center of the state, and they'll talk about 50, 52,000, 54,000 starting, but they only offer family health insurance. Or, I'm sorry, single health insurance.
Right.
So if you take our salary at 44 plus a $10,000 family health benefit,
right,
we're paying the same. And so I think it's hard to say we need minimum salary starting. Well, what about minimum benefits? Right. Because there is a huge difference between single coverage and family coverage. Yeah, and so, and with the law changes a number of years ago, where some don't even have salary schedules anymore, it's just, you're not comparing apples to apples anymore between school districts and the state. And I don't think we ever did. But
I just know that talking to both Senate and House members, none of them really knew where they were on the AAA bill. And they were saying the same things, is, hey, they're gonna get something's gonna come out, they're still working on it. And Gary was the one that said, we're gonna pass it out and then at least get the ball rolling, so then there's a ball that's gonna be bouncing back between the chambers, so. That was a good day.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add, and they brought it up because Shane Konecki said to me, he thought it was the best lobbying day he's had going up there. He felt like people were receptive and got to talk to people. Obviously, Shane announced that he's going to be the next Cal Wheat Bennett superintendent, so congratulations to him. We did start the process today with at least advertising it on the state system. The state system is not very good for us anymore because we got rid of Teach Iowa, where everybody went to. It's a much harder system. It's every job in Iowa is posted on there, and you just can't search it that well. Now, we do put it on our site where they can go right to our spot on that website because of Katie's work and Bree's work on that. But I think we have to look at other avenues. I sent an email on you what I was considering for that. I would anticipate posting it in the month of March, and then in that first week of April, start the interview. Had a couple board members contact me already. They'd like to be on the interview committee. I'm anticipating parents, but even on this one, high school students, having some students within a committee potentially too. And so if you have ideas or you say, hey, would you consider this, how we want to go through the process. It's been 16 years since we've hired a high school principal in our district. Wow. That's how long Shane's been here.
And so, effective dates? What's effective date?
July 1. Yeah, it'll be a July 1. So
that was one of the other questions I got too, because I got a daughter had volleyball tournament this weekend, so that was the hot topic when I walked in. And Shane will finish out this school year.
Yes, yep. It's a July start. Yeah. Their superintendent will finish out his year, and Shane will finish out. Now there's transitions you do, but the actual job is
it's not starting next week.
Yeah, and I have no idea what vacation he has left for this year, so you generally lose an administrator really in the month of June. Now, all of our administrators have ever been with us, work with us for that transition. We always want good transitions, so. All right, thank you.
Any other comments, correspondence? All right, I'll entertain one more motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.
Thank you. Okay.
I can sit in the chair.
Yeah.
Like,